as we speak, at least half our day goes into, how do we reach our correct audience, right? Or in some sense, sales and marketing and PR and things like that.
Welcome to UpTech Report. This is our Applied Tech series. UpTech Report is sponsored by Terraleap. Learn how to leverage the power of video at terraleap.io. Today, I'm joined by my guest, Ankur Pandey, who's based in Mumbai, India. He's the co-founder at Longshot.ai. Welcome, Ankur. Good to have you on.
Thanks, Alex. It's great to be here.
Now, Longshot is an AI system for researching and generating long-form content. For those content marketers or others out there that are trying to generate content, you've probably been hearing about this buzz of AI can write stuff for you. Now, specifically Longshot, you guys are focused on the long-form content, using that to help research and find content. So just state first off, just the problem that you see and have been set out to solve.
Yeah, sure. So the problem really is that, can AI help marketers and content writers and any writers in general to help them write content, and write content at scale, write nuanced content, write human-like content. So this is the problem we set out to solve. And we focus on long form because long form content writing has like multitudes of more challenges than compared to, let's say, short snippets, short paragraphs. You have to be coherent, and you have to be you have to be authentic and so on and so forth.
You definitely decided to go after the harder problem. You just stated that yeah, sure. Let's go after the harder one, bigger one. But I'm intrigued to hear about your journey, because that's one of the reasons why I'm excited to be able to chat with you today. Take me back. I mean, this isn't the first venture you've actually started around AI. When did you get into all this?
Yeah, so I mean, it's been a sort of gradual thing. I'll probably I have had some on and off stints with startups since 5 or 6 years or slightly more. My background I'm a technical person at heart. My background has been in engineering, maths, and computer science. I dropped out of my PhD program about a decade back, and since then I have worked as data science, machine learning positions in various places, and consulted tons of companies, startups, and bigger, small organizations. Have multitudes of projects all across the sphere of data science. So this is something which I'm passionate about as a professional. Now, when I sort of few years back, I realized that how data science can be leveraged in various things. So, for example, I had a brief stint at a logistics startup, which was short-lived. But then the most significant thing which I started out, which was about 3.5 years back, was Unfound. Now, Unfound, the idea of Unfound was that can we use AI and machine learning to solve the misinformation problem? To some extent, when I say we, I'm actually also referring to me and my team, specifically the founding team, which includes my wife, co-founder, Anushri. So the thing is that we both are technical persons actually, but we also have side interest in how the societal impacts and stuff like that, right? So it always was at the back of our head that what are the challenging stuff, right, around which can be dealt with AI. So Unfound was Unfound did tackle that. It tried to sort of use AI, etc., to solve the misinformation problem. So it had two avatars. One was that can the news be consumed in a way that when somebody is sort of searching for a particular piece of news, can they get another another perspective automatically, right? So this is echo chambers or misinformation. Only one-sided news is a big problem, right? And this has impacts across everywhere. We had a business version of it, because we were a for-profit startup, right? So then we, typically business pivot when there's, even if the idea is great, but there is less of market traction. So maybe they are too early or, whatever, right? So because of that, we had that market push, and we had to pivot a bit to solve the same problem or similar problem for businesses. So, that was Unfound B2B version.
So basically, you and your wife, co-founders, I think that's beautiful, as a family business in some ways, and it comes to startup, are technical people. You see the technology, you love it, you enjoy it, and you want to solve a big problem. It sounds like you have this drive to solve a big issue, and you see misinformation, which is a big thing. A lot of people are thinking about misinformation, like how can I trust what I see online? Everyone's thinking it. And so you
Yeah.
set out to solve it, and I feel like when we chatted last, you clearly stated the problem there is people aren't willing to pay for it as a
Oh, yeah,
consumer.
yeah, yeah,
They're not willing to pay for it. So you pivot
absolutely.
Unfound to be a
Yes.
B2B solution. Describe to me
It
how
did.
what that pivot looked like.
Yeah. So like the same thing attracted, like the same proposition wherein one can detect the other side of the story, also caught attention of few, like, folks in who were, let's say, in the PR departments or the marketing departments of few businesses. And they said, what, like, Ankur, can you make a version wherein I can detect what my consumers are saying and different aspects of it, etc. So we said, okay, we can repurpose the same technology. And there are sometimes we can go deeper enough to say that sometimes, like, rumors which are floating around, and which rumors have probability to go bigger, things like that, right? So misinformation is not just one thing. It is false news. It is sort of like news which is correct, but not like the whole story, right? So we try to solve all this gamut of problems. We did actually succeed. Like, we have big clients, like, we work with government organization, we work with BBC, Google News, we work with Maharashtra is a state in India, and we work with the cybercrime department. We work with names like TCS and DHL and Unilever, etc. So it was a good business. The reason of pivot was not at that point the loss of business. The reason was that we realized that we were not, like, when you work with government organizations, or when you work with, like, extremely big size companies, you are going to sell them X, but you have to also sort of offer them, like 10 other things. And we said, what, like, oh, wait, so it's like we were going into that circular loop where the original idea, the original thesis, was probably being clouded by many other things, many other sort of, like, fancy stuff. And, can you make an app? Like, can you make an Android app? All sorts of stuff, like, you can imagine.
Basically, it was pulling you away from your drive to solve this
Yes.
bigger problem. They're like, can you build this? Can you build that? And you're like, I don't want to do that.
So it was getting what we would call a managed service project, right?
Mhm.
Now, we said, like, what we really enjoy is, like, we want to maximize our reach, really. We don't want to solve the problem for only 4-5 organizations, which can kind of give us good money, but then this is not going to reach out so many folks, or it might take, like, too long, like maybe, what we had in mind. So at that time, we were kind of experiment this technologies like GPT-3 and others. So we thought that, this might be the next thing we are very excited about. So here we go, so
Wow.
that's how Longshot was born.
What I'm intrigued then with now, okay, you make this pivot, you go to Longshot, and you're using this AI technology to help write content, not just misinformation. This is not using AI to write content isn't new. But by new, I mean, it is new. I mean, it is something that many people are trying to solve, but there are multiple solutions out there. Your angle, you've already mentioned, is one of it being long form, hence the name Longshot, long form content. Good job trying to go after the more difficult challenge of it, but also using what you built in Unfound, right? The ability to know what we're writing correct. Is it factual?
Yeah. Absolutely. So you completely sort of said, what we had all the while in our mind. So, like, the point is that, so writing, so look at what is going on when people write. And when I say write, like, step aside from a marketer's hat. So marketers are supposed to be like our first audience, because they are the folks who would use us day in and day out. But, essentially, college students would write, or, and pretty much like small, big, there'll be story writers. Like few of our other, like, users are using Longshot to create, some kind of scripts, right? Like draft scripts. So for some projects related to, like movies or short films, stuff like that, right? So now the point is that it's so pervasive, but the problem with the current research, like, which has been amazing, is that there is a problem. Like, it is superhuman like, but it is not coherent. You have to tame it, really. Like, it's you can pretty much ask it to say it anything, and it can kind of conjure up things. Now, like, the point is that we believe that so it's in some limited sense, it is good because you might get creative ideas, but there is a limit to it, right? Like, the creative ideas would not mean, let's say a blog writer would not really want in, in exchange of creativity, some completely garbage or completely sort of inauthentic piece of information going in, right? So even in the current version of a long shot, like the current version which is being used by folks, right? So we have an integrated fact check, and as you said, right, like this is coming from our background in Unfound, wherein we used to sort of, we had this technology which would kind of, do fact check on the fly. So we have already integrated it, and currently what we are emphasizing is like currently, let's say in terms of research and the technology and product roadmap, the most important focus is how can I make sure that the content is as authentic and as factually correct as possible. I mean, with due respect to lots of our competitors and, like people who are trying to use all these new AI content technologies, this has been either not addressed or, in some sense, solved in a very roundabout way. It's like, oh, like you just replace this thing by the correct thing, like, so that onus is up, but there's a limit to it, right? You can maybe, let's say, it would say Elon Musk is the founder of Amazon, which of course is incorrect, and it's famous enough to be known that it's incorrect. Anybody can kind of detect it. But what about subtle things, right? So, which is like, even if somebody is who is extremely domain expert, it's easy for them to miss it. So that's how long shot comes in. Today, if you, for example, just to complete this chain of thought, even let's say if you want to write the GPT-3, which is the most famous, for example, language technology we have, it will not give you anything after 2019, right? Now, the problem is that, let's say if you want to write something about COVID vaccines, right? The point is that it will conjure up something completely on the fly and you cannot rely on it, right? So you will soon realize that there are limitations to it. We don't want to do that. Like we want to enhance its limits. I mean, the great folks at, OpenAI and other organizations have done the big job, but then we are here to sort of take that forward and use our technology enhancements and make it full, make it complete, make it usable, really. So that's what we are doing.
What do you see as the most common use cases for AI enhanced writing?
So as I said, like, the most urgent, rather, most sort of immediate use cases are folks who are in the business of content writing on a day-to-day basis. And they happen to be like folks who would write some kind of marketing content, let's say a blog post about a product, a review post, or, some kind of reports, internal, external reports, memos, like advertisements, some kind of briefs. So it typically, name an organization, small or big, right? If you look at it, probably hundreds of content is written of this nature almost every week, right? Maybe every day, right? So in that sense, it's like pretty, you asked me like, what is the use case? I would say it's very horizontal. It's as horizontal as one can get, really, So, I mean, I'm not even talking about so currently the product is in English. So even that is super horizontal, but if you reach to other types of languages, and so, I mean, it'll be even more. So, so
what's the current technical challenges right now of AI and languages? Is it pretty easy to implement in multiple languages?
So, I mean, it's yes and no, I would say, like slightly going, I mean, I would refrain from going too technical in this particular conversation. But the thing is that if you, again, like, the answer would be similar to when I talk about like the challenges with short form versus long form. So if you are writing, let's say, a couple of lines, or some small paragraph, then it's easy to sort of translate or transport between various languages. So current language technologies would allow you, of course, I would say that English remains the most the best trained models still perform well on English, and so therefore that remains the best, I would say, output wise. But then as you go longer, right, it will keep on deteriorating. It will keep on giving you garbage. So the challenges are in some sense mirroring what the language challenge is pretty much mirroring what we see in authenticity.
The use cases, coming back to that for a second, of
sure,
you say horizontal of anything you need to write, a memo, a recap, a new blog post, etc. The practical use case is you would probably like before they use Longshot or another type of AI writing solution, they're writing it manually. So this case, they're using it to write really the first draft. Do you see people just publishing whatever comes out of Longshot?
So it's, yeah, I mean, like we are currently, for example, in middle of so I would not say that people are doing 100% long shot published content. Like that's not what they're publishing, but we have seen about something between 60 to 70, 80 or 90% of the content generated being used. Like, let's say it's a 2 to 3,000 words blog post, and one can say 1,500 or so words were actually AI written. So that does happen. But by the way, like, I'll take a sort of point here. I mean, the thing is that when we one way we attempted to solve the long form content problem was not just that, you can just go to the editor and keep on writing big things. For example, we also enable a user to research. For example, you can, let's say you are writing something and then you are kind of stuck that which direction should I go in. So you can sort of research stuff, and you can then give it some pointers. You maybe not even be aware of lots of things about this particular topic you are writing in, or you are run out of idea, right? So this is how this is also kind of integrated in the product. So you can think of it as so what you would have done, what, let's say, folks like you, or let's say a marketer would have done in various sittings and in various iterations across maybe hours or days. This is super compressed. So we are not trying to eliminate, like, it's not like you go and click and let's say this everything's written. So that's not how it's supposed to work. But it's like you would probably think of something, then read up something, and then write draft. So this is how a typical process looks like, right? So we are trying to sort of super speed it up, and speed it up to an extent that we have seen improvements up to let's say 10x or more, right? I mean, in terms of the productivity.
Where
so that's
when somebody wants to start writing something, just briefly describe the process and the tech. Is
sure.
They just provide a topic, and then like where is it getting the information and the ideas to write it?
Okay, so again, like the product can be used in various ways. It's slightly sort of flexible enough that like you want just one thing, so you can just, let's say you want just one introduction paragraph, so you can kind of generate only that. But I would say a more sort of in-depth use cases is the following. So one goes to the product, and when one searches for a topic, and then one creates some kind of content brief based on the suggestion they get. Now, so in this particular step, there's no AI yet, like, or maybe there are some kind of NLP technologies.
But someone is writing the brief of what they're wanting to create.
Yeah. So or I would say that somebody would give a seed word or seed phrase. Let's say you want to write about Bitcoin, right? I mean, so you would probably say Bitcoin or the price of Bitcoin, whatever, right? So you'll get ideas at what is trending and what are the questions people are asking, what are the keywords you should use. So how do we know this? We have maybe scraped data from top results in Google and other search engines and things like that, right? So you will create a content brief, and once you create, so content brief, when I say you create, basically you select. So you are just inputting the first sort of input topic, and then you get tons of suggestions, and these suggestions can be picked and sort of selected. You can write your own suggestions if you want, but if you don't, like, you have enough suggestions to create some kind of skeleton of topic. So it will typically look like that. Let's say Bitcoin is a topic you want to sort of write something on. It'll give you that, let's say, I don't know, like what is I mean, I'm just conjuring things up as I'm speaking. So let's say some kind of new crypto exchange has come up, so which is getting hot. So this is the suggestion that the platform will give you. It'll give you the kind of keywords you should use, maybe prominent names of crypto professionals, or the names of startups, or names of technologies, etc., etc. So all this will create a content brief for the AI to start with. So this content brief is then, so like once you are kind of okay with it, then you sort of once you maybe spend a couple of minutes doing this, and after the content brief, AI has enough context, right? It has enough context to start writing from. So it will first create a outline, a headline, and then a outline, maybe however long, right? Typically 10, 20, 30 sort of sub steps, so to speak, in a long form content, right? And then what you do is then then it'll keep on creating, it'll keep on filling this outline, so to speak. So imagine that you now have a big blog post and you have, like, let's say the headline, and you have the skeletons, that what are the topics you want to cover, right? Which has been derived from your research. And when you start, then it will keep on filling in the introduction of each of these subheadlines or the outlines, right? It will keep on doing that. You can keep on nudging it. You can say, okay, like this is not good. Maybe write a couple of words extra from you. It'll start from there. So this is a bit iterative, but it's like saying that, it's like you have to give it some certain directions here and there, just to guide where you want it to be. And this is, yeah, sorry.
It's more like it's writing assistant. So you're telling it kind of, I kind of want something as well, okay, that's all right. Let's change this. Okay, you write some more, and it's kind of working with this assistant.
So Alex, actually, like one of the challenges founder is that how to describe it, because if I say AI assistant, I think it's more than assistant, to be very honest. But if I say, let's say AI which writes everything, right? So this is, of course, not what we even intend to do. So the point is that maybe there's something which will come
somewhere
up
in between.
Somewhere in between, absolutely, yeah. So it's somewhere in between, I would say. It's because assistant would sort of, when I say this word assistant, right? People have in mind that, okay, it is giving me some suggestions, but it is actually writing. It is actually writing meaty enough paragraph and meaty enough things, right? So for you to consume.
Now you, as a founder, co-founder, you and your wife, you're running this company. As a technical person, I can see you get excited about the problem, about solving it. What are some of the pushbacks and some of the difficulties so far faced with trying to bring AI writing assistance or AI writing tools or abilities to market?
Yeah. Sure. So this is a great point. And I think, this is, to be very honest, that even if we are technical person, as we speak, at least half our day goes into, how do we reach our correct audience, right? Or in some sense, sales and marketing and PR and things like that, right? So the point is that, so to answer this question, I'll maybe give you a 30 seconds sort of recap of how. So if you look at today's, October 2020, we had 0 AI assistants. If you want to call them assistants, we had 0, right? Like a long form short, there's pretty much none, at least not what, or even if they were very old schoolish, right? They're not leveraging the new NLGs, GPT-3 and stuff like that, right? So, but today we have many, and I would say about 90 to 95% are short formish, and then others long short are trying to solve some difficult aspect. Like, for example, we have picked long form, some others have picked some other sort of versions which are arguably a bit more difficult, right? So this is where we are now. But and this is exciting. I get tons of messages, calls, or chat messages every other day, and people asking questions. The market is established market. I've been also, you won't believe that, I have had pushbacks from pro writers. They're saying, oh, you are stealing our jobs, or this is unethical. And the point is that, due respect to them, I think these are very legit questions, and this will happen. So every revolutionary technologies will bring about such a, sort of a disruption, so to speak, right? So the thing is that now, in 1 year, it seems to us that so many things have changed, because today marketers or content writers, especially digital content writers, are aware of such existence of such tools, right? So there's no, actually, I would say there's a pushback of a good kind. So good kind wherein that you have to compete. Oh, is long shot better, or some XYZ is better? It's so they are accepting us, right? So they are not saying, oh, what is this nonsense? So, there are two kinds of pushback we sort of faced when we started out. One was the questions which probably I would call a bit Luddite, and others would be, others would be of the sort that some kind of disillusionment with the technology. Because in the previous years, there had been attempts, all these previous AI sort of approaches have also had their sort of, had their sort of ways of attempts of solving such problems, but they were not really up to the mark, right? So few folks who were sort of, I would say, ahead of the curve in terms of experimentation with the products had that, background wherein they say, oh, we have tried it all. Oh, none of this works, right? But then they were amazed. Okay, you know what? Like, this is now interesting. This is real, right? This is not bad. This is not just rephrasing things. This is not just kind of, sort of jumbling. It's not a wordplay. It's like really kind of telling me. It's like writing like a human would. So there had been, after a few months of sort of, in some sense, pushback from our prospective user, we have now a good kind of pushback wherein people think, oh, are you better or are they better? Are you more? So for example, like a lot of people are excited by our background also as, creators of Unfound. They said, oh, you know what, like I have been facing this problem, and guys, maybe your product has this fact check option. Maybe it can be developed a bit more, but we understand that you have that background, so we are going to stick with you. So there had been that kind of sort of comparisons and competitions, and I think so. Of course, I would be lying if I say that I never get sort of some kind of like, I wouldn't say worry, but some kind of often a little bit anxiety here and there, because I would say every sort of startuppers or every founder would. But I think, like when I sort of sit back at night or in the weekends, I say, oh, like this is great, because it's like, what was I expecting really? Was I expecting that I'm the only person in the world who is going to get this idea, and no, of course not, right? So therefore I kind of welcome these competitions and the others approaches also, right? So, and this is also telling us that the market is adopting us real fast, that much more than we had anticipated before. And this is also, some of the proof is also in the numbers, right? Like the kind of traction we have been getting. And we have to kind of, so like, we are not from the marketing background, like at least as founders, we have a lot of, we have a lot of partners and who sort of help us. So therefore, that will be an increased push for the product in coming months. That's the current road plan.
Anka, you've shared a lot in that whole section. You're like on a train, just like being able to share. And if I kind of break it down, like,
okay,
pieces there. One being, as a founder, you can get overwhelmed potentially, and it can be exhausting. But you see that the whole industry is moving forward, and you're able to ride the wave, sure, but you're able to be part of this journey, be part of this movement. And I appreciate the two pushback so far have been, you call them the Luddites, those who are afraid of the change, and they're like, they're taking my job. But if anything, I think people are starting to realize that it's here to help us do our job better. It's not going to us. But also the other piece is, all right, which tool is best for me and what I need? Those are kind of the two potential challenges of how do people, or actually rather the second one you said was people who have tried it, but it was not up to snuff yet. But you're saying it is. You're saying the technology is finally developed. Would you say GPT-3 has been the catalyst to making that happen?
Yeah, so I would say yes, definitely. So I mean, even if you talk about GPT-3, so first of all, like as a product, GPT-3 is a technology we use, but it is probably now, at least today, it is among many other type of NLG technologies we use, right? So GPT-3 remains the most famous one. It has the best PR, etc., and it's great, of course, but it is not the only one. There are others, and we have also kind of, in some sense, kind of sort of improved the versions of NLG with our own efforts, and maybe others have. So yes, it has been a catalyst. But therefore, I'm not saying that consumers who use us or other products of the similar nature, they do not have complaints. They do, but they are. That's what I said, right? Like they still are now, at least today, beyond the possible limit. It's like it's almost like, oh, you actually hire a content writer, and when they've published a first draft, they say, oh, like this tone can be improved, and this can be, so it's probably in some sense on par with such approach. So they are not going to accept the first version, of course, but they cannot just discredit, oh, this garbage, right? They're not going to do that.
You bring an analogy in my head. I'm wondering, is these AI tools, it's not they're all the same, but rather it's almost like baking, where everyone's using somewhat of the same ingredients, but maybe different ingredient here, different ingredient there, and it'll taste, the flavor will be different, how the outcome and the look of it will be different. And so there's multiple ways to make make a cake, but that cake will not be the same as another one. Is that a good analogy? Bad analogy?
I see today. So it had not been that apt like 6 months back, but today it is probably appropriate, and it is likely to be more and more appropriate as we go along. So I would say that in another year it will be like, some, okay, like some background things will be same, but it's not like everything. So it's not like everything is a GPT-3 wrapper, and especially tools like us. We cannot just be sitting on GPT-3 and developing a UI. No. So the kind of stuff we need to do or we plan to do will require more things. And some of it we have succeeded, some of it we are developing. So,
yeah. Well, Ankur, I appreciate you sharing the journey that you've been on. You and your wife, you're excited to solve a big problem using technology, starting with Unfound, but now with Longshot. And it sounds like you definitely see the potential in the future of where this technology is going and the problem that it truly can solve. It's only going to become more real. For those that want to learn more, you can head over to longshot.ai. Looks like you're going to be able to get a free trial. You guys are seem to make it very easy to just get in and try it out. Thank you so much, Ankur, for your time. It's good to have you on.
Same here, Alex. It was a pleasure. Thanks so much.
We'll see you all on the next episode of UpTech Report. Have you seen a company using AI, machine learning, or other technology to transform the way we live, work, and do business? Go to uptechreport.com and let us know.